Mr. Steve Forbes here, editor-in-chief of Forbes Magazine, just an amazing economist and journalist of our time. Thank you very much for both being on the Coin Shop podcast. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, are you excited about IMEX?
I'm looking forward to it. It's always good to be among people who realize the value of basic metals, especially gold and silver, and what artistry can do to turn these things into something that appeal to people throughout the ages.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. I actually read inflation, and I read most of inflation in the last couple of days, and it's amazing how true, in my opinion, it's so true about the gold standard, and about it does seem like it could be a fix to a lot of our problems. And that doesn't mean $3,000 gold, but it means bringing gold down to a level that is more even with money.
Well, what it means is determining, as we did back in the 1790s, and many other states have done centuries before, and that is to fix your currency to a certain weight of gold. Once upon a time was $20.67. Then it got devalued in the 30s to 35. And that they pick a number, 1900, 2000, whatever. But what you do is, let's be simple about it. Let's just pick 2000. You announce and pass legislation that henceforth the dollar will have a value of $2,000 an ounce. And if it goes much above that, that means you're printing too much money. If it goes much below that, it means you're not printing enough. Gold, as you know, keeps its constant value better than just about anything in the world for a variety of reasons. It's done so for 4,000 years, not perfect, but the best thing that we have on this earth. And if anyone has come up with anything better, they have yet to reveal it. Certainly what's happened since the 1970s when we went off the Bretton Woods gold standard has demonstrated that the PhDs have nothing on the yellow metal.
So it doesn't sound like crypto. You're not really big on cryptocurrencies.
Well, crypto is interesting in terms of the technology behind it, but what the problem with Bitcoin is, it fluctuates in value, and what you want from cryptocurrencies is something that is fixed, so that you can their technology now, you can do instant sales using Bitcoin or these other cryptos, but you would never write a long-term contract,
right,
for more than a day or two, right, with these cryptos. So with the technology that we have, what should be done is they should make it very easy to fix it, say, to gold at a fixed ratio, and so that people know that they can use that as an alternative to the dollar.
Right.
And so you can write long-term contracts with it and have faith that it'll work. And it'll take time to build up that trust. But I think the whole reason cryptos were invented, going back to 2007, 2008, was as a high-tech cry for help with what governments continue to do with currencies. I mean, governments are almost as bad as currencies as airlines are with frequent miles, the way they keep taking away stuff from you. So I think the time will come. Now, it'll help, I think, bring the issue to the fore, which is why this meeting is going to be very interesting, is that central banks are determined to create their own digital currency. And that, of course, is all about control, both about what we do and making sure we're doing what they think are the right things. Keeping track of us. The Chinese, of course, love this. But as we've seen in this country, they're very serious privacy concerns, and you can't trust institutions to protect that privacy. We've seen that with the IRS repeatedly being used for political purposes. So you can create all the currency you want, but if people aren't going to accept it, you're going to have a rebellion on your hands.
It almost
what they'll try to do, or let me just say, one of the things they're going to try to do to force this on us is to say you have to pay your taxes in this new digital currency, or they won't enforce contracts that are not denominated in that digital currency. But they'll, thanks to high tech, people will come up with other ways to start to create a new market and enforce contracts and the like. So it's government versus the people, and I'm betting ultimately the people will win. I hope they do.
How do you see gold and silver being impacted by these digital currencies? With Bitcoin's market cap was over, I think, over 2 trillion some time ago. How much of that affects the prices of gold and silver, in your opinion?
Well, people were looking for an alternative to currencies. And so I see Bitcoin more like a piece of jewelry rather than alternative currency, something to park your money in, like you would with land or something like that,
Right.
that can be some guard against the depredations of government. And the advocates of Bitcoin will tell you that over time it's continued to go up in terms of nominal dollars. But again, it's not stable at value so that you can use it as a typical alternative to government's currencies, paper money. People are looking for it. They want it, and the government's going to fight it. So it's going to be a good fight. But what is underscored by cryptos is why do we look to gold and silver to a lesser extent as an alternative? Because over time, you can trust that stuff more than you can government printing presses.
Right, no doubt. So in your most recent book, Inflation, you talk a lot about the gold standard, and it kind of got me a little excited because it's a very easily explained route through inflation and things that have worked in the past and some things that haven't, and a lot of pros and cons to gold versus fiat. Um, how would you explain to our listeners what's your favorite thing about your new book, Inflation?
Well, I think we take away and put it forth in terms that everyone can understand. So
Right.
the mystery, priesthoods love to create mystery, so they make you feel dumb, and therefore you must defer to these higher beings who have more knowledge and understanding than we do. But basically, because gold has relatively fixed value, you can tie a currency to it. It's like 12 inches in a foot, or 60 minutes in an hour. You don't float the clock. As we say in the book, imagine if the Federal Reserve was in charge of the Time Bureau. So you had 60 minutes an hour one day, 48 the next, 96 the day after. Life would be a lot more difficult. Well, when money has an unstable value, it makes commerce harder. It makes long-term investment harder. As we point out in the book, if up to the 1970s, when we went off the gold standard, the U.S. had the highest average growth rate. This was through Civil War and depressions and world wars, highest average growth rate in human history. And if we maintained, and so we did it on the gold standard most of the time, except for wartime, then we were on a gold standard. And if we'd maintained that average growth that we did for 180 years, for all the turbulence and all the innovations and technological advances, if we'd maintained that average growth in the last 50 years, the household income today would not be around 72,000 median income. It would be around 110, 120,000. And don't you think people would be a lot happier if they had incomes $40,000 to $50,000, a stable dollar that they could trust again? And it affects society. I mean, one thing about when you have unstable currency, you get more crime, you get more social turmoil, because money is a way in which I don't have to know you, you don't have to know me, but we can do sophisticated transactions with each other involving products and services through a trusted medium. So I like to think of money as you would when you go to a restaurant. What do you get? You get a coat check.
Yeah.
Piece of plastic, piece of paper, worthless in and of itself, but a claim on a real product. Same thing with a ticket to an event, whether it's a piece of paper or your handheld, it's a claim on a real service and product. So that's what money is. It's like a claim check. And so if you decide to sell a loaf of bread for the equivalent of a dozen eggs, you feel cheated if you only get eight eggs. And so you want something that makes buying and selling easier. That's all what it's about. But they cloak it in all this jargon, blah, blah, blah. And no, you don't need a PhD. All you know is fixed weights and measures make commerce with each other, buying and selling with each other easier, and also engenders more trust.
Yeah, it's a lot more transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems, it seems right now with the state of everything, transparency seems to be very vague at this point, just with the political, anything that's going on in politics right now. It feels like you must have a PhD or have a, political science degree of some to even try to keep up with what's going on. It seems it's almost kind of insane to me, what's going on right now.
Well, one of the things about supposedly as the society advances is that things are made easier. For example, one of the great miracles of our time, which we now take utterly for granted, is that a handheld is the equivalent of a supercomputer.
Yeah.
If you had said 20 years ago Grandma could operate a supercomputer, which 25 years ago would have been the size of a building, cost millions of dollars to even get the technology, you'd have said, no way. But thanks to a free enterprise and creativity and people constantly improving things, we now have these miracles. When I was growing up, libraries had things called card catalogs. We had to go in and look up where the book was,
Yeah.
take out the physical book and look up the information.
Right.
Now, boom, done, instant. And that's what we want. So I don't have to be a PhD to operate a supercomputer. I don't have to have a PhD in engineering to start an automobile, although they want to destroy those again. That's another subject for another time. The internal combustion engine, but the whole point of free markets, it turns scarcity into abundance, and it makes all these once complicated things simple. So you can operate a supercomputer, and you can have a 3-year-old can operate a supercomputer.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I saw my 4-year-old, teaching me something yesterday on their lap. I was blown away.
Yep.
Well,
you better be nice to them.
I know, right? They'll be hacking into my bank accounts before long. Well, Mr. Forbes, we really appreciate your time. You want to say anything else before we close?
No, I look forward to seeing all of you in a few weeks. And in the meantime, remember, it's all about making us dealing with each other easier and making our lives better. The nice thing about free markets with stable currency is that all of us come out ahead. And even though sophisticates say gold, bad, barbaric, whatever, it has proven itself over 4,000 years, and it's pitiful that today so many governments, people who should know better, don't. Talk about the need for remedial education. So keep up the good work. And the nice thing, too, is that coins can be very beautiful things and stimulate the best in us.
Well, yeah, they are. They're very beautiful and they're easy to get. And in your book, real quick, I just want to go back to something that you were talking about, art and where people put their money whenever there's an influx of cash, some of the other investments that are available. I don't think the common person realizes how fungible coins are. I mean, literally to gain liquidity from rare coins or even gold coins, silver coins, bullion coins, there's thousands of people ready to give you liquidity all within probably 0.5% of each other. And I don't really know of any other hard asset that you can gain such quick liquidity from.
That's so true.
Right.
It's nice to have a great painting, nice to have a great mansion, a great piece of land. But you can't call up and sell it in 30 seconds. Absolutely
not. Yeah, you can't get there's no bid and ask, and there's no there's no truth teller out there that says, here, listen, here's my buy, here's my sell. I'm going to buy your Picasso for $2 million, and I'm gonna sell it for $6 million. That's the way those work.
Yeah, that's why in those things people always feel like I didn't get enough and I paid too much.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Mr. Ford. It's been an absolute honor.
With you.
We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you very soon.
Look forward to it.
That's at IMEX in Nashville, right?
That's where Nashville, and great music, and also great food, and also a great gathering soon to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.